You spent countless hours in the garage with your dad. Now investing in that old car and working on it with your son reminds you of him. And his legacy lives on. Fund your passion with a low-interest home equity line of credit from Bank of Blue Valley.
Why do you do the weirdest things ever?
You do. This was new. This was different than the pink dinosaur and the flag. I'm just trying to. Hey, you're the one that has beautiful highlights and all tan from the pool in your backyard. You're just living life in that beautiful historic office down in the 18th and Vine District.
You know what my favorite thing about you is?
What?
That you answer questions with the answer you want.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. I think that's me just being
Instead of being like, where are you? You're like, oh, and you live life, right?
I'm just bad. I'm not this is what you do for a living. I'm just your co-host. I mean, I got nothing. You're the magic, I'm like the straight and narrow guy, it's like, I don't know how we do it, but Bank of Blue Valley and Burns McDonnell let us do it. How are you doing today, Erin?
I'm having a terrible day.
I know. Tell the audience why you're having a terrible day, because it's the one thing we all dread it.
This is how I feel. Do you guys feel like this? I feel like anytime I decide to get my life together and I'm going to be like a good adult, like I've been doing the 75 hard. I'm on day 9. Like I've been doing my stuff. I've been doing my laundry. I've been washing dishes, doing all the stuff. I feel like anytime I do that, everything goes wrong. So it's just easier not to try because it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Or is that just me?
No. I would love to hear what the audience thinks about it, but my business partner, Melissa Ford, like clockwork, because we experience the heavy blows when things don't go our way together. She says everything comes in threes. So I feel like this could be your third and final, blow.
What was my first two?
I don't know. I'm just trying to be positive. Right. I'm just
anyway. So today I had to go to a client meeting. All my meetings are online. So I ran to use the restroom right beforehand. And my dog, who, by the way, I had to take to the vet last week because she's acting weird. Turns out she's just depressed. Okay. She's depressed because my teenager is not as home as much. And that's apparently her person. Anyways, my dog jumped on my desk and knocked my water all over my computer, and my computer's done. I had to go to Best Buy in that rainstorm we had this morning and get a new computer. I'm just frustrated.
Well, we got two.
And I'm eating M&Ms to make myself feel better.
Yeah. We got some audience members tuning in. So it's a lot of exciting work. One of the folks tuning in is going to be playing golf with Bank of Blue Valley's president, Will Fox, on Thursday. So that's going to be exciting.
Robert says, do or do not. There is no try. What about when you're trying and you're doing, Robert, and then it just keeps crashing? Anyways, okay, I'll be in a better mood as soon as all these M&Ms are gone. What have you been up to, Scott?
3.5 and 5.5-year-olds. So not as cool as what you have going on. You mentioned I
have a life hack to talk about.
Okay, life hack.
I have a life hack that I learned last week.
I'm in.
Well, they're cute when they're 3.5 and 5.5, right? They're really cute. And then they turn into teenagers. And so it turns out if you have T-Mobile and you just want to suspend their phone service for like a day or two, you just call T-Mobile and they let you do that. Apparently teenage parents do it all the time, I was taught. So it's a 2-second phone call if you just need to teach your teenager a lesson that you mean business.
You can also date someone that works at one of those stores. And if they give you a phone in your 20s, they can turn it off when you don't return their text messages. So don't do that.
That sounds like a lesbian relationship. Okay.
No, it was me in my 20s.
I know. But I'm saying that's something I would go through right now. Okay, this opening monologue is the worst one we've ever had.
I think it's the best opening monologue we've had, but everyone's not here for us. They're here for the panel.
Hold on. Paul made his joke of the week.
I know.
And
He's golfing with Will Fox and I on Thursday.
Why don't I ever get invited to golf? Because I'm a girl?
No. I take a lot of people golfing because I work with all women, but you do not golf a lot.
I have golf clubs. They're pink.
Yes. We've gone to Overland Park Golf Course like 3 years ago, but in general, I think that could have been the last time you golfed. We
didn't golf. We sat on a hole that we sponsored and did jello shots. That wasn't golfing.
Yeah, we had some fun that day. So, but without any further ado, you ready to get this thing rolling?
It's a great lesson. You can also shut up. Tell me how, but Katie, what about Snapchat? My kid just does everything through Snapchat. Okay, we'll connect on the back end on that. Okay. Hey, I have a question. How old are you?
36.
Do you know in 4 years you just quit caring what people think about you at all? You just turn into this right here. 40 is amazing. Okay, you ready? The worst music in the history of music. All right, our first guest today is Judy, Erica, and last but not least, Adam. Hi guys, how are you?
Great.
Good afternoon.
Doing well,
you
thanks.
Scared to be on here today? A little bit.
I enjoyed the opening monologue.
We're getting more comments than we ever get. So
I think you should rename it to M&M's with leaders, though. I like that.
M&M's with leaders. That's fine. Okay. Well, let's get started. Judy, who are you? Oh, hold on. We have this message. You guys, if we don't let Paul be funny, Paul's gonna keep trying to be funny. Paul says, "Guys, golf. If about, I don't even get it. Let's do it, Katie." And 40 might be amazing at 50. Oh, Elizabeth, I can't wait. All right. Hopefully I'm not still single then. Dating in your 40s is not amazing. All right, Judy, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
So I am Judy Temaat. I am the executive director of Casey Kansas Angels. We're a local nonprofit that work with children that are experiencing foster care and their caretakers. So that's a little bit about what we do. We match local volunteers to wrap community around those kiddos and the families and give them the support they need to keep their doors open, keep those kids in safe and happy homes, and hopefully keep them from moving from house to house to house. How did I get to Kansas City? That's what you're saying? The old-fashioned way. I followed a boy. I met my current husband of 33 years about 2 weeks before he was moving from Western Kansas to Kansas City. And so I invited myself along.
You moved in 2 weeks of knowing him?
No. He moved. I met him. He moved. I met him September 17th. He moved October 6th. And then he asked me to marry him on Thanksgiving. So that was pretty fast.
Judy!
33 years.
Hey, you got real lucky that worked out.
I did.
I've done that, it hasn't worked out.
Yeah, I did. He's the best.
33 years.
Yeah.
What'd you do for your 30th?
I'm sure it had something to do with a kid, I don't know, playing basketball, or that was 3 years ago. Well, I don't even know. I don't even remember.
It was COVID.
Probably worked. Yes, it was COVID. You're correct.
I hope he was nice to you and made you
dinner or something. Nice to me. He's always nice to me.
Okay, so you're with, name the name of your organization again, because I always mix up the names.
That's okay. It's Casey Kansas Angels. So we're part of a national organization, and we have chapters all over the United States. There's currently about 22 chapters. We do also have a Missouri chapter. There's a KCMO chapter as well.
That's what I was trying to get to. I couldn't remember if you said the Kansas before Angels or not.
Yeah.
How much do you guys work with the other ones since they're right there?
Well, we're starting to work more and more with them. In fact, I was just looking, we have a meeting on the 1st of August just to kind of collaborate. We go back and forth because it does get confusing. Mm-hmm. Because of the Department of Children and Families, we do have to stay in our respective states just to make sure that we're aligning with the rules and guidelines of the state, because they are very different. how each state handles foster care. But so we work with them and all the other chapters in the country as well.
So a question, go ahead, Aaron.
Nope, you go.
On the collaboration side, obviously there's 1-800 Foster Adopt Connect, and there's KVC.
Sure.
Can you kind of explain to folks that are not familiar how you kind of blend and partner, kind of tail end on Aaron's question?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to be clear, as I said, the Missouri and Kansas handle foster care very differently, and KVC and Cornerstones of Care are very different state to state. So currently, and I could be wrong, so if anybody knows better than me, please tell me. But currently, I believe, like for example, in Johnson County, KVC, they license the families. And then other agencies might have kids that come into care, and then they'll be matched accordingly. So we work with local agencies, whatever it may be, DECA, TFI, KVC, and Cornerstones. And then we also partner with Foster Adopt Connect because there's just so many needs. These families have so many different needs. In fact, I just had a contact from somebody this week in Cornerstones of Care on the Kansas side for, a kid that was coming into care and had some immediate needs because they were taken out of their home and unfortunately weren't able to gather any of their belongings. So they ask us, just to get some essentials for that teen. And so we always do our best to try to reach out and get those kiddos whatever they need.
I have a question.
Yes.
I've weirdly met, I don't know why, but the past couple of years, I've met a ton of people that they're adults now. They're like my age, 5 years old. But they came out of the foster system.
Right.
And it seems like everybody's story that I've personally met, so this could just be my experience, but it seems like the support kind of stops at that high school level, some at college level, right?
Right.
Does your organization do anything with the families? Do you support the families after that piece as well, or is there any support for foster kids once they're 18 and over, because they're not exactly set up for success?
Right. Well, and that's part of our organization. We have what's called a Dare to Dream program, and we work to match again volunteers with kids. They meet up twice a month, and they do that. They work to set them up for success. They say, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to college? Great. Here's how you apply for state tuition. You want to join a branch of the service? Great. I'll go to the recruiter with you. You want to get a job? Let's talk about what it's going to take to set up an apartment and get a car and all those kinds of things. But to your point, I believe if the child does age out at age 18, you're correct. The support does stop. They will qualify for state tuition to some of the local colleges, but kids can stay in care up until age 22 if they choose to. We had a local girl who at the age of 17 had a baby. And when she turned 18, it was actually in the home that my husband and I support. When she turned 18, she could have left foster care, but she would have lost her son. So she chose to stay in care and stay in the home that we support so she could keep her baby.
Why would she have lost her son at 18?
Because the system had put them both in the same home so they could be together. But
they were both foster kids.
Correct. They were both in foster care. She was in foster care as a teen because she had been removed from her home and she had the child. So she chose to stay in the home until she had met the criteria to move out and get her own apartment. Like she had to keep a job and do all the things that she needed to do to keep her baby. And she's doing great. She's still got her baby and is doing very well. In fact, I was just looking at my phone. Her birthday's coming up here in a few days. So, and I think he's probably about 2.5 or 3 now. So yeah, so it's largely about the choices that the kids make. But to your point, a lot of them are not set up for success. But that is one of the things that we can do. Just because we're a private nonprofit, we are not state funded or run. And so we can do some things that some of the agencies can't do.
Man, I can't imagine having a baby at 17. Scott, if you had a baby at 17, that baby would be graduating high school this year. Can you
Isn't
imagine?
that crazy? Yeah.
Instead, you're running around still in diapers. And
Are you
still
talking
feels
about
like
me?
a
Are
baby,
you talking about me currently?
I mean, not you, but your
Yes.
baby.
What's my partner with all women? They take care of you. So I still do get to be very immature. But no, that's very heavy. That's crazy. The system works that way. So
Yeah.
Erica, hi. Who are you? What do you do? And how did you get to Kansas City?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Erica Brune, and I am CEO of Lever One. Lever One is an outsourced HR company that provides payroll, employee benefits, and HR services to hundreds of clients across the country. I got to Kansas City because I was raised here. Went to Shawnee Mission South, nothing greater than a Raider, and eventually left for college and life, but came back and have been back about 15 years. Launching and growing Lever One.
So Erica, just so I want, because Aaron will have a follow-up question to this. What did you go to the East Coast to pursue?
Yes, it's a well-known secret now, but I had a passion for musical theater, which Aaron's son has caught the bug too. And I both kids, I went to New York right after college to pursue becoming a Broadway star.
Did you get a BFA?
No, at Arizona State, it was a general Bachelor of Arts.
The BFA program, if you guys don't know what that is, it's Bachelor of Fine Arts. Those moms are insane. It's like dance moms times 1,000. I'm in a Facebook group.
That, didn't exist, but none of the competitive things were like that back when I went to college. When I went to college, it was get a degree in anything. Literally get a degree in anything you wanted, French, theater, and come back and get a great job at Sprint. Truly, everyone I graduated, that was the land of opportunity. So very different today, obviously, with the current workforce. But that is what I went to New York for. And I spent 10 years there. Love it. I'm a huge theatrical supporter, but a businesswoman and mom first.
What was your closest big break?
I worked for a off-Broadway theater company that's still around. It's called Prospect Theater Company. And they are a husband and wife duo who write original musical theater productions. And then they also produce other new pieces of work. So I was in 2 of their original shows in New York City, which was incredible.
Are you following Justin Cooley at all?
I on the Tonys and I followed that. I didn't know him before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's a late East kid. So Devin's friends with him. So when we were there, we went and saw the show and then hung out with him afterwards.
That's just incredible.
So if you guys don't know who Justin Cooley is, I don't know why the city doesn't talk about him more, but he won, there's something called the Blue Star Awards, which is like the Kansas City High School Tonys. And then you go on to the Jimmys, which is the national ones. He won Best Actor. They plucked him off. He's graduated 2020, Elite East. Put him straight into a leading role, brand new Broadway show called Kimberly Akimbo. They just won 5 of 8 Tonys, and he's the lead for that. And I don't know why we don't talk about him more. He's 21 now. 21-year-old.
I don't know why the local media doesn't pick it up more.
Yeah, I don't either because it's insane. Like he's doing
him. That's the same as him being, first draft of the, NBA or whatever. But yeah, they just don't cover the arts like they do the sports. But
and he was named one of the top 5 best dressed at the Tonys. On top of that,
yeah. That's
incredible. So I think the show is really popular because we talk about cool things like that, but some business stuff I do want to bring up. So Erica, you're part of YPO. You have run Lever One for close to now 12 years. You've been president of the board for KC Single Mom. You're a trustee at your church. You work with City Union Mission. You're in the National Association of Business Owners. You've obviously been really involved with Go Red for Women. You're a board chair for National Association for Professional Employer Organization, and I'm sure I'm missing 11 others. Now, during that time period, I guess my question is how do you approach the persistence and grit that you have, or how do you, if someone asks you about persistence or grit, what do you share with them are keys to success?
Well, thank you for listing off all those accolades. I really enjoy working hard, and it's so interesting for me when I get on social media and read comments about workforce posts just to kind of level set my brain on what, especially the general masses of employees are feeling about their job and about the workforce. And it's so eye-opening because a lot of people have this working hard is bad mentality. Working hard means I'm being taken advantage of, or I'm not prioritizing my family first. And I know it's similar to probably everybody on this panel, but I have that drive every day I wake up, and I want to work really, really hard. And I take pride in that. And I take pride in getting things accomplished and doing good work. And after I put my kids to bed, if I'm going to sit and do 15 other things, I feel good about that. I feel energized about that. So I think that's the best answer I have. But I'm also, fairly competitive. So every time, you miss, you get back up the next day, and you've been all night thinking about what you could have done differently, what you could do better. And again, you just wake up with that energy to go get it.
And 3 children.
Yep.
So I'll never forget, you're about to have your 3rd child. We walked out of a business meeting. It was like incredibly hot in the summer, and you're like getting after it. And I'm like in my 20s, and I'm like, I don't even like, I'm like barely not hungover from Sunday. And I was just like, oh my goodness, she is just a force of nature. So it's so crazy. When I looked up, almost 12 years have flown by with Lever One, but huge congratulations.
Thank you.
Your friend Gwen Thomason has her privacy settings on, but she said, "Hey, Erica, sorry, great to see you. Sorry, I missed Chicks with Sticks. So much golf talk earlier. Go, Erica." Those are both from Gwen.
Oh, thank you.
And Paul wants you to know he went to ASU.
All right. Well, now Paul's on the good side.
Paul.
And he golfs.
Where's the joke with that? Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, when I first started my business, I know Erica Brune was all the talk. You were Kansas City's it girl. I remember.
What am I now, Aaron? What am I now?
No, I think you're still very much a Kansas City. I think that the landscape of business has changed now that it's gone more virtual.
Well, you can only be the fastest growing company for so long. So, I mean,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because you would have been 5 years old at that point.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I've loved growing my business with both of you.
All right, Adam. I made you wait till last, even though you were the first here. I'm so sorry. Who are you? What do you do? And where do you live?
So I was already thinking about how to answer that last question since my situation is slightly different. So I'm Adam Jones. I don't remember exactly when I was on last time, but historically I had my own. They're now commonly known as managed service providers is kind of the buzzword. But it was an outsourced IT firm. So much like the outsourced HR, just different service, but similar kind of philosophy and goal and probably target market. Basically, companies not big enough to have their own IT staff oftentimes still need IT services when they, drop their laptop in a toilet or something of that nature. Sometimes you need help. So lots of our clients use us to meet those needs, whether it be like help desk or strategy or pulling off projects, building out new buildings so that they have the Wi-Fi and infrastructure they need. Today, it's moved even closer towards cybersecurity and making sure that they're securing their business assets. So I've been doing that solo for a long time, and Creative Planning reached out last January, and then we joined forces at the end of June. They, for anybody who knows Creative Planning, they are traditionally a wealth management company, but they have spent the last several years adding services onto that. I know that way back they added legal services historically, and then accounting services came after that and some other things. But as they continue to want to zoom out and meet the needs of their growing client base, a lot of those clients are business owners. And so we're now taking a lot closer look at how we can solve those needs as well, all kind of under one roof. And given that their expertise was in wealth management, they didn't necessarily want to try to figure out how to build a technology solutions team. So they went looking for someone that they felt like would fit. And a lot of what you were saying about growing your Lever One business really resonated, especially when I think about the conversations I had with the CEO of Creative Planning, Peter Maluk, and are talking about. Yeah,
really
he's a great guy. But the moment when I saw, like, the moment where I could tell that this deal was going to happen was when I started sharing my philosophy on why it is I work hard and don't necessarily care about fitting into a 40-hour week. Like, the game of business to me is, it's a lot more than that. First of all, to narrow it down to just a game, I think kind of discounts it. But I don't think there's anything to apologize for, and kind of giving it your all and working towards doing something better than anyone else has ever done. For us in the IT realm, we work really hard to bring a high level of empathy to IT. And it's hilarious when I go to conferences and I say stuff like that. Anyone who's met a traditional IT guy can imagine how hard they're going to roll their eyes at that comment, because it's like it's almost like an opposition to how they are made up. But the end result is, when you do that in this line of business, when a problem happens to us versus a problem happening to you, the resulting services, they don't look anything alike. And the longevity and the stickiness of those relationships is unparalleled. And so that's kind of, it wasn't necessarily something I set out to do, but that's been the differentiator in large part. So since we joined forces, I guess the part I was going to add to that was, I was going to say, how do I get to Kansas City? Now, how did I got to Kansas City? So I grew up in St. Joseph, lived in Kansas City until 2018. We had some opportunities here on the West Coast. I live in San Diego now. But I get to Kansas City quite regularly. Pretty much every 6 to 8 weeks, I'm back. Our team still has our own office. We're not in the large office on 435 yet. And so I actually, before I realized we were going to merge, I had set that office up to be kind of an outpost for me when I'm back. It's actually a zone commercial house in Kansas City, Kansas, in the Argentine district. And so I kind of have like an apartment there when I come back, and I come back as often as I can because I do love Kansas City. I'm not going to say I don't love San Diego, because I do, especially the weather. But Kansas City is a special place, and I'm happy that our business is based out of there and will continue to be forever. It's definitely I think a sleeper cell in the cityscape of the country. I don't think a lot of people realize how cool it is. So,
your work friend Mercedes.
Hey.
Adam. By the way, if you're not following Mercedes, Mercedes, put the name in the comments. Mercedes and his wife do a new video podcast on Instagram. That's really good. And then Melinda said, it's a great company to work with. I'm guessing you know her?
Yes, she's our newest team member.
Oh, Melinda, way to keep it up. Keep it up.
Up to the boss.
Good deal. Okay, so do you see yourself moving back to Kansas City one day?
I don't know. That's a good question. We were lucky enough to buy a house before COVID here in San Diego, and that's been pretty awesome.
Millionaire,
so.
You can move wherever you want.
Not quite.
So you bought the home before merging, because I'm assuming that you caused a lot of waves in your industry with the deal that you did with Creative. So man, oh man, that's a lot of opportunity. And also it's wonderful that Berg KD was just purchased by your company. So Adam, I know a lot of people in Kansas City, those are 3 really home run things to happen in a short period of time.
So he's hiding from his competitors, is what you're saying?
I know a lot about the situation, but yeah, there's a lot of just awesome, good things happening to good people. But
yeah, so the last part you talked about, it's the largest acquisition that's ever happened in creative planning's history, and they've had some pretty big ones.
I'm going to ask him how he feels about bringing marketing in-house.
There you go. But the Bergen KDV was a large, their core was accounting, but they themselves had a lot of business services that they had stacked on. And so it was in looking at creative planning's goals, when it became apparent that there might be a fit there. It's going to be huge for all of us, because they also have a large managed service provider under their umbrella. So we'll be joining forces with them over the months and years to come. But no, you're talking about moving to California.
Ben Fitzpatrick, that's playing with Bank of Blue Valley, who's also in your industry and does a really good job at playing golf with him on Saturday. But yeah, it's a really good point. He makes fun of me because there's a lot of people in your space and we're all friends with each other. And so he tells me, don't bring up the competition. So I had to say that, or else he's going to ridicule me at golf on Thursday.
That's
so funny. Sorry, Adam, for interrupting.
No, I was going to say about your point about buying the house in California. The thing that is always, I might have mentioned this last time I was on, but it looks so obvious now that it's all happened. And anybody that's probably written a business book could have told me this from 1,000 miles away. But anybody who's been in business knows that all the problems are new to you and not new to anyone who has experience. But long story short, it felt like the biggest risk of my life to move because I was a small business owner and I was the center of that small business because I made sure that I was. Like, that was kind of what had happened. What I'd also done was I had throttled my business without meaning to. I had put myself in too many crucial roles, and by physically removing myself, taking what I thought was the biggest risk, it actually unthrottled the business, and it took off. We doubled in size in 2 years, and then almost doubled in size the next 2 years. So
but don't you think that part of that? Let me push back a little. That's very exciting. Congratulations. Do you think you would have had the same results had COVID not happened and everybody moved all of a sudden to this more virtual world? Do you think you would have had those same results?
Potentially. I think it's probably it's a mix for sure. But I think for the lesson I learned was that, and it again is one of the most basic lessons I feel like a business coach would teach you. But when you try to do too much in your own business, when you hit your capacity, that's the capacity for the business, unless you outsource or diversify or bring people on to stuff. It's a scary thing to bring staff on, but once you reach your cap, then you've kind of, without even meaning to, you've limited yourself. And so the limit for me really specifically was there's a lot of work in this industry that has to be done on site, and a lot of that stuff I would do. You don't have time to both do all that and grow the business. So a lot of really basic lessons learned, but going through them yourself always feels a little more groundbreaking. So it's been fun to watch. What year did you start your business? My sort of foray into this industry was in 2005. Did that for a few years, unmerged. So Firefly started in 2010, but the client base has its roots all the way back to 2005.
Nice. Okay. Well, are you guys ready for the Burns McDonnell question of the day? Listen, we're getting a lot of comments, and I didn't even say, let us know if you're watching from LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. And
hey, Erin, can I ask a question real quick?
No.
Because I think you and Judy also have the same thing, because you guys have all gone through this. But Eric, I know it's been a while back, but kind of speaking to Erin's point, when did you stopped being so hands-on with your clients and allowed yourself to be in the executive role and not do it all? Like, how long into your business did that take?
Yeah, it really was more of a stair step for me. Every year in my budget, if I could afford a high-level HR person, a high-level benefits I felt like we just reinvested each year, adding really strong and smart people. And I'm in such a high volume business that there's no way I could have ever done it myself. But I just in the last year was able to bring up my director of operations into the president's role. And we now service, a little over 250 individual businesses, and I just can't touch them all. I can't review all the contracts, and so letting him focus 100% on the operations, like of the service offerings and the client and the employees and the pricing, and I can just focus on marketing, strategy, and sales has been a game changer, and such a relief. And, honestly, the trick to that is just finding the right person, because that's a needle in a haystack. I just got really, really lucky there. I was actually interviewing him for somebody else, and I'm like, nope, you're coming over here. So.
Oh, did you like buy him a bottle of wine, or the person a bottle of wine? I gotta know that story of how mad are they?
No, and it wasn't really the right fit for that. It was just somebody I was screaming. Yeah. And I had to woo him for a while. Be like, no, really, you do want to come grow this startup. I'm sure you do. Work really, really hard and long hours. And, but I finally got him.
Do you have any
Can
more?
I ask, Erin, I thought you would enjoy that answer.
I mean, I still work in all facets of my business.
I know you do.
Every time teach me your ways, Buddha. Teach me your ways. Okay, let's do the. I feel like I try to do the same thing, but then I'm such a control freak. It just isn't going the way I wanted.
I was thinking that the answer would show two different ways of kind of how people get into those roles, and I think Erica said, there's a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
There's all, people 10 years ago, you never think are going to be a rock star. And then people you think are going to be a rock star. That's why I can't hire, because I am not good at it.
I was going to say that's the hardest part is I think that what we don't talk about enough is that hiring takes so much patience, right? And usually by the time that you need to hire, you're already needed to hire. And so the patience part is where I struggle. And then I'm like, oh, I see the potential. It's like dating. You should never date for potential, right?
I was told early on 2 out of 10 hires are going to be your, what we want to say, rock star. And that's not to discredit the other 8. It's just that the other 8, probably will be there for about a year, be a contributor, but then want to move on. And that 2 out of 10 is going to think like you, talk like you, work like you, and try and give you 5 like really strong years, hopefully more.
Yeah.
It's great advice.
Yeah. You got to set that expectation, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's a lot of effort.
Mary says, shout out, Adam. Adam, you're like a rock star here. Okay.
I posted this on the Creative Planning Social Network, so there's like 2,000 people. It might be too much.
Peter and Veronica didn't try to chime in. They're
I know, where are my best friends?
Yeah, they're probably
go to their Christmas parties. No big deal.
Working.
Okay. Whatever. I'll just shoot Peter a message after this. Okay, let's play our Burns and McDonnell question of the day.
Hi, I'm Sunitha Levin, and I work at Burns & McDonnell, helping advance telecommunications across the U.S. My question for today is, how do you manage your time, and how much is it worth to you?
All right, Judy, take this.
Great. Erin, I think you and Scott know this. I previously worked at AMC Theaters, and I retired from AMC on May 31st. And so Angels has become my full-time gig right now. And so I'm trying to figure that out. The month of June was a blur just due to some family things we had going on. But I'm trying to figure out how to manage my time and not work so many hours. I've heard you all talk about working really hard, and I feel like I've kind of been there, done that, and now I'm on that plan of let's run a business and run a business well, work hard, but still have time for fun and family and things like that. So I don't really have a great answer for that. Just trying to figure out what makes sense for me right now. The job now that I have is so different than my project management role at AMC because everything came to me at AMC. And so now it's me going out. So it's a very different vibe, and it's a very different way of doing things. So trying to figure that out. So I'm looking forward to Erica and Adam telling me how to do this.
Do you get movie discounts still when you retire?
No.
That's a bummer.
Sadly, no.
Judy, for the audience, how long did that take you to change? I mean, that's like your whole world, things are coming at you, and now all of a sudden you're going towards it. Right. How long did it take to make that switch? I feel like that could be a tough switch.
Yeah, it is very different. The role I had at AMC didn't. Most of what I did at AMC, people were coming to me and saying, "Hey, can I be your construction person or whatever?" So now it's me going out. It is very different because I'm accustomed to reaching out to somebody and they get back to me right away. So it is a change for me to go out to people, and being a nonprofit, of course, my role now, my main role is fundraising and trying to figure out how I do that either through events, donations, grants, whatever that might be. So just trying to figure out ways to do that and network and make the connections I need to make. You all were talking about hiring in a nonprofit is very different. Trying to find somebody, obviously we're not probably going to be the highest paying person in the room. So we have to look at people from a very different standpoint, and more so people that are connected to the cause, or they have some kind of skin in the game. Either they came from foster care or they have a calling to foster care or something like that. So hiring is very different. And I did hire at AMC. And so just looking at it, from a different perspective. I kind of have to check myself and step back and say, okay, this is a little bit different scenario. But
I
still
just
working
have a
on it.
random question.
Mhm.
Scott's gonna glare at me when I ask this question.
What's your favorite high school lunch?
No, I hate that stuff. Does AMC still have that same CEO that they had during COVID?
Uh-huh. As far as I know.
No, yeah.
Okay, Erica, how do you?
Hmm.
Glad you got out of there. Erica, how do you manage your time?
I have an operational background, so I have a lot of tips and tricks for this one. But I have now stacked my Monday to be in the office, meaning meeting with my direct reports. And so that helps me commit to doing that and kind of staying in touch with what's going on and getting, up to speed on everything. And then in my Outlook, if it's in my inbox, it's still to do, right? And then I use categories by color for my direct reports. So if it's like my meeting with Scott, I just sort by category and I just start cutting through all like, hey, did you ever get back to Scott Havens at Hub? Did you, are we set up for drinks with, and we just knock through everything. And then I can clear it out if I'm done or keep it to follow up next week. And so I stay really, that really helps as long as I can commit to those meetings and keep those on my calendar. Then that can leave the rest of the week open to be out of the office meeting with different people. And my other new tool that I've embraced this year is the Remarkable. I don't know if any of you know this. This is really cool digital tablet, and it can like send notes to people and sync to my phone and everything. But what I love about it is I'm out meeting with people all the time. I can literally take notes on it like a notebook. But I'm not connected to my email and my text and my Ring doorbell and it's just my notes. So I can really be focused in the meeting and try not to get distracted. But it does then require me at the end of the day to come back and then like update and get all the to-dos done from that. But I've really enjoyed using that.
Erica, 2 questions. One, are you a red dot or non-red dot? Do you let the red dots on your phone stack up or do you clear them off?
Oh, I don't know anything about the dots. I mean, I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't even alert. Yeah, okay, so I don't do that. I don't do that.
Does this drive you crazy?
I don't have that because I don't need to know that I have emails because I know I have emails. So you can turn that notification off. And I go and check my email because I know I'm always going to have more. So you can actually turn that completely off. Like mine will say right now that I have no emails, but I have emails. But I've got nothing there. Do you see that?
Yeah. That takes away from my second question. But when I kind of came of age in business, there was folks like you or Nate or Richard Wetzel or Peter Maluk, and people just knock things out right when they come up. And you just strike me as when something comes up, you knock it out. But I think you're operating on a different level. I think you hug all sides of the fence of visionary and implementer, and most people can't do both of them, but you do. And so I think that's why you have your own unique process.
If anything takes less than 2 minutes, you're supposed to just do it right then.
I know. I've heard that. Like, how many times do I look at that same email in my inbox, and how much time do I waste procrastinating it? Mm-hmm. I'm bad at that, but I do try that every to-do is not mine, right? Every to-do is a department. And then I just, if it's something that I want to really follow up on, or I want to be the one then to make sure it got done, I flag it so that I remember to follow up on it. But when I leave it for me to do, because then I go to 7 meetings like this where you can't actually then accomplish things.
Whose friend is this?
Yeah,
that's my assistant director about Patrick.
Yeah. By the way, Adam, I think you're beating up on Mayor Sly James is the most shout outs.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, you're crushing it
popular
today.
Guy.
All right, Adam, how do you? Oh, look at Katie's answer real quick. She's a one-toucher. Clear all dots. Answer, schedule, delegate.
So a big part of my answer is kind of taking a few things that I think everyone has said, honestly. So using technology has been a huge part of it. And that continues to be something I explore further. So for me, I didn't turn off the actual dots, but I turned off the notifications. So there's no sound when my phone gets email. And that can be an area, I agree, can be your own worst enemy because you keep redirecting your attention constantly and you're not going to get anything done. Balancing that, though, one of the reasons I'm now with creative planning was watching someone like Peter manage his time is nothing short of inspiring. And one of the things they've
mind blowing. Yeah. I want someone to write an article on it. It doesn't make any sense. It's not possible.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And one of the things that started this year is he's making daily videos for the team with some of these tips that he's developed on his own. And the one you mentioned about if it takes 2 minutes or less to do it, just do it, is one he definitely takes to heart. That's been front of mind. Yeah. That's front of mind for me since he said it. But so technology is a big part, and a lot of what Erica does, I do with technology. It sounds very similar. So if it's not going to be for me to do, making sure I then take the step to put it in someone else's bucket is crucial. Otherwise, it will drop. And so sometimes that involves coming up with a workflow or a process to facilitate that, which in and of itself takes time. We've recently been as a unit, the whole company's not going through this, but my leadership team and I read Traction, and not so we can do a full EOS implementation. There's so much there to take with us, and I think one of the biggest that's been kind of tangible the last few weeks, as I look not just at my time but managing the time with my team, is really harnessing the time that we spend together to try to not get off on tangents and really plan out how we're going to use the time in a meeting and make sure we stick to it, make sure that we have clear like marching orders after that to kind of prioritize things. But and then I think the final piece I don't want to not mention is Calendly has been a huge help for me. It takes away all that time you spend trying to negotiate a meeting and just puts it into the person's, you empower the person that needs to meet with you to pick the best time for them. And then along with that, I've had to make sure that I block out time that I don't want those meetings to occur. If you go a little too far with that tool, it can actually kind of have the opposite effect. But Calendly, this is an area where we actually hope to develop some services, not just with Calendly, but with
You see this guy in the middle?
I do.
This is my Facebook memories from 2 years ago. That's my friend who started Calendly.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
It just popped up. That's funny.
What's been really interesting that we've been doing for ourselves, and I think there's a real desire to create a solution for this for our clients, is to take these tools and really put them to work. So not just Calendly, but we're integrating everything that we do together. So for instance, a technician on our team now can send a link to a client. They can self-schedule on that ticket so that they're not just waiting for a phone call. This is all optional. They don't have to do it. They can just wait till we're ready and we'll call them like we always have. But they can self-schedule, and that whole system follows that ticket all the way through. If they need to reschedule, it goes back out to the team. Being able to do things too where you can have an appointment that doesn't just have to book with one person. You can make sure everybody that could fulfill that request is eligible to receive it. So using the tools, I'd say, is the biggest answer to me to try to maximize my capabilities. I do not always succeed at it, to be clear.
It's been wild to watch. Calendly's done a lot like what it sounds like creative planning's done is like the integration. So like when you do that now through HubSpot, that's really a Calendly integration, right? Like there's all those, I think that it's on Salesforce too. So it's really interesting to see all of that without rebuilding the wheel, just doing the integration.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm going to take a total sideways thing. Aaron, I know you have a question, but for Aaron and Erica, you guys have a lot of Gen Z folks that work with you. Do they ever feel like they take off work to like get like a delivery for something, or if they have maintenance done on something, like that's like a day off type deal?
No, I think Gen Z is way better workers than millennials.
I agree with that point, but I feel like, you know, what Adam was talking about, you schedule your own time of like, so you have an idea of what your work week's going to be. I feel like sometimes I've just been on, you know, different calls with Gen Z and they're like, oh, I can't go to work today because this is getting delivered.
But they work from home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just what our culture is. I don't think it's a thing. I do the same thing, and I'm Gen X, right? So like, I think that's just what happened after COVID is we work around our lives versus our lives around our work.
Good point.
Yeah, I just think that's a post-COVID.
I gotta be the old man, get off my lawn. I'm like,
you are the old man right now on this.
Have him come on the weekend. Why come on? It's like, come on the weekend. They're like, well, I have family time, or like I have my personal time. I'm like, well, what do you do during the day? So, but I guess it depends what your job is. So it's all, there's my old man, get off my lawn.
I mean, the way that I'll answer for me, the way our company is set up is you just have to get your work done when you get your work. Like you have a deadline, your work has to be done by then. I don't care I have one girl that stays up in the middle of the night every night because that's when she's most creative, right? She's very tired at our 9 a.m. meeting, which is required, but I don't care if she goes to sleep after that as long as she gets her stuff. She's one of my best employees. She's been with me for 5.5 years. So I think
wherever possible, if we can move to a work society where you are measured on output, not number of hours spent. Is the sooner we get there, the better. It's not possible in every industry, but it certainly is in ours. Like the number of hours you work is, I mean, we need you available potentially, but it's not it's more about the sum total of what you accomplisted.
Very IT answer. And when you work in hospitality, healthcare, construction, that's where the majority of our societal jobs are available. There's a real disconnect between the dream of the millennial or zennial and what they want out of an employment opportunity and what the actual jobs available are. It's like less than 10% of jobs can actually even be conducted virtually. If you think of restaurants and banks and all these things that you have to, the best example is like the person sitting at home wanting to work remotely, demanding a delivery driver come bring them their lunch in person, right? Somebody has to be working on the job and to make all of these things happen. So it's very frustrating for a lot of the employers that have that disconnect in the workforce. Yeah. But maybe robots can solve that. I'll count on you.
And everyone's gonna be real mad that they don't have jobs because there's robots.
Right.
There we go. I saw something the other day about the robot comment. It was Gary Vee, and he said it was about the AI robots. He said tractors took away jobs, right? Yeah. We just found other jobs. Yep. People need tractors. So it was really interesting. Okay, Scott, we have 8 minutes left, which is only enough time to do my least favorite thing in the world. So go ahead and ask a quick icebreaker question. Quick answers, please, guys.
A quick icebreaker in 8 minutes? That means we're gonna be done with the show in 2 minutes.
Oh my God, Scott.
Okay.
So for 3 years, you got this.
Judy.
Yes.
We've been doing what is your favorite piece of candy, but also where was the location of your first date? Laugh it up, Aaron. Everyone's got a piece of candy and everyone has a first date.
Yeah, everything you've had recently, you've asked that same question.
I've been doing high school mascot and first concert, so you got lucky. Okay, Judy, your favorite piece of candy and where was the location of your first date?
Twizzlers. And the first date, I think, was at my house. I invited him over and made a roast for him, and I think that's how I won him over.
And then he was her boyfriend, just like, remember how I moved into Judy's like, here we go. I like it.
We're getting married by Thanksgiving, and guess who's cooking Thanksgiving?
She's like, November 15th, she's like, and now we're doing Thanksgiving dinner.
And I can do rolls.
Like your mom.
So, Erica, what is your favorite piece of candy? And where was your first date with your significant other?
My favorite candy is the Reese's Sticks. Very specific with the stick. And first date with my husband, we actually went to Jack Stack, 95th and Metcalf.
Ooh, wow. All right, Adam, their favorite piece of candy, and where was your first date with your significant other?
All right, so to stay on the Reese's theme and the specific theme, it is Reese's still, but it's any of the specialty. So like the tree or the bunny, the peanut butter to chocolate ratio is better. So that's
had that answer before.
Yeah. And then first date with my significant other, I think would have officially been Novel back when they were in the house on the west side of downtown.
Wow. So Aaron, what is your favorite piece of candy, and where was your most recent first date?
Why do we have to talk about my dating life?
You want to answer this question. I have no idea where it is, but I know you want to answer it.
Don't even talk to you about my dating life. I'll eat any candy, but I like gummy worms best. But I don't know. I've had so many first dates in the past few months. I'm over it. If you just know a nice woman that's driven, likes really loud women, just send her my way. Okay,
Well, if they take you to Olive Garden, where they treat you like family, and they have unlimited breadsticks and salads,
I don't even eat carbs.
they care.
Scott
Well,
just
you're okay. Well, you're gonna get mad at me? Is it Texas Roadhouse, or am I way off?
No.
Applebee's.
Applebee's is your jam.
Applebee's follows me on Twitter.
Answer
I like
for Aaron. Applebee's is
It's a good
my
Kansas
first
City
date-
answer.
My first date with
the
my
Mexi
wife
Ranch.
was she told me we needed to go on a date, and I ran out of money on a Sunday, so we used her gift card to go to Chili's and candy. Anytime I can get sugar-free gummy bears, I get them because that's what I give to my kids for a reward system. They're 3 and 5, so I buy sugar-free gummy bears.
That was the best icebreaker ever.
Look at it. Hey, the audience answered it. Did you want me to go deep? You said
I feel like these are your friends over here. Okay, let me pull them up really quick. Do you guys know Scott?
No, they're Adams. They're Adams.
Adam. I don't even know what this means.
Yep.
Michael. Greatest generation, World War II. Patrick, you know what? What if Patrick and Paul went to happy hour together?
Yeah, I agree. They'd kill it.
I, for one, welcome Robot Overlords. Butterfinger movie on the plaza at Seville Square. We all know Pops went to the soda shop for root beer floats. Junior Men's. Oh, hi, Renee. God, he loves them some hashtags. Peanut M&Ms, walk around Liberty Square. Just get the roast recipe, make that for her. Oh, yeah. I don't know what that means. Life goals, have restaurants follow me. You're welcome. On Twitter, the least favorite platform. Check out Amazon's review of sugar-free gummies. And Paul for the win, Patrick Marriott, the malt shop. I'm tired. There are so many.
Was it a bad icebreaker? Was it bad?
And Brett wants to go to happy hour with you guys. I'm going to tell you guys where I'm. Can you guys tell me when you guys go to happy hour so I can be like across the city? Thank you. Patrick Marriott said hilarious. And gummy peaches and a really bad production of The Tempest. Melinda, I appreciate that you're new and you are giving it your all. I like that proactiveness in you, Melinda. You can stay forever. Okay, thank you guys so much for coming on our show today. Sorry it was so weird, but I really appreciate you dealing with it. Thank you so much for everybody for watching. Thank you to Bank of Blue Valley and Brune and McDonnell for sticking with us and always sponsoring the show. We will be back here, same time, same place, same jokes next week on Tuesday. Have a great week.